No Earl Bass tonight? No, I see Earl and Earl, no, yeah, Earl is coming, I believe. Judy, is Earl coming? Earl's coming?
Earl is coming, yes.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Laurie, what do you say?
I say good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Tommy, are we rolling? Good evening to all of those that are watching on our live stream. Thank you for watching. Those that are watching around the world, by the way. We have a couple of presentations. They're all brief. We have, first of all, our external auditors. And I will set this up the best way I can and then introduce our external auditors. Each year, every one of the 635 school districts across New York State are required by law to have their books externally audited. You have secured a firm named Drescher and Malecki. Drescher and Malecki are represented by partners here tonight, and they are here to present your 2022-23 audit. And we'll give you the information. I will say this, Mr. Consemi, Mr. Velardo, Ms. Dunn were at the audit committee meeting along with Mr. Bilson and our community reps who we appreciate. They have heard this audit, but it is now time for the entire board and the community to hear this and determine whether this evening you will push for a affirmative vote at your 7 o'clock meeting. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Matt Montalvo and Charles to come forward and make the presentation to you on your external audit.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I have a PowerPoint handout for everyone, for the board members. We did meet previously with the audit committee, went through the detailed report in our required communication. So I'll highlight that for you this evening.
Okay, great. So on page 1, we talked about our required communications, and really what we first like to clarify is what our responsibility is as external auditors, and that is to provide an opinion on your financial statements. So we don't take responsibilities for the books and records. That's management's role. We come in as an independent third party and provide an opinion on the financial statements. So can you rely upon the records and the financial information presented to you? Based on our audit, we plan on moving forward with what's referred to as an unmodified or a clean opinion on the financial statements. So we believe that the district's financial statements fairly represent its financial position for the year ended June 30th, 2023. So that's the best you can do from an audit standpoint. As far as your significant items, accounting policies and estimates, those are disclosed in the notes to the financial statements. You do have two pretty significant estimates, being your net pension liability or your net pension obligation and your other post-employment benefits or your retiree health insurance obligations. Those are considered as estimates. We look at those assumptions and come to the conclusion that those are reasonable estimates. As far as our standards, we're required to be independent or free of conflicts of interest with the district. That's what allows us, our staff, right up to the partner level, to be objective in performing our audit. And then as far as other matters, we receive full and open access to the books and the records. We did not have any difficulties in performing the audit, and we received full cooperation from management and staff. Any questions on the required communications? Okay, so then I'll kind of switch gears to the financial trends. Within page 2 of the slides, this is a 5-year trend, your revenues versus your expenditures. And you can see the blue line representing revenues has exceeded expenditures over the past 5 years, and kind of coming out of that pandemic period has recovered well. And this is a similar trend that we're seeing at other New York State districts, where the revenues, the state aid piece, has been favorable over the last 2 years. And then what we've seen is on the expenditure side, you've been able to shift some of those salary costs to the special aid fund to offset with ARPA funding. So that's the federal stimulus funding that was provided to school districts. So that is temporary funding. That's not something that is going to continue on outside of the short term, but it has benefited school districts as far as their operations. So for 2022-2023, your fund balance increased approximately $8 million. So that is the amount that your revenues exceeded expenditures in the general fund. So that $8 million goes into the general fund balance. On page 3, this shows that 5-year trend of fund balance. I think what jumps out at you is you were able to increase primarily your restricted fund balance. So those are your legal reserves that you set aside for contingencies, exposures, future costs that are anticipated to go up, whether it be in the retirement area, employee benefit payouts, or workers' compensation. So you were able to fully fund your workers' compensation liability.
What?
At about $6.7 million. So that's.
Did you say workers' comp? Did you say workers' comp? I'm sorry.
It took 24 years to fund.
Sorry, Matt, I'm sorry. I heard the words workers' comp and my brain immediately jumped. It jumped to Russ Petrozzi. Sorry.
I
What
do
did
remember
you say?
some conversations.
What
in
did
the
you
past,
say
so
about that workers' comp? Can you repeat that again?
So the reserve is at 100% of the liability. So if those claims come due, you have the funding to.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much for repeating that.
As far as the unrestricted or unassigned portion, that is subject to real property tax law, 4% of your subsequent year's budget. On page 4, it shows that the district was in compliance with this law as well. Then just kind of switching to the school lunch fund, revenues versus expenditures, a little bit more fluctuation in this fund just based on the funding during the pandemic, the activity, and now we're kind of more based on normal operations. But the caveat in this fund is the state does limit the amount of fund balance that they want to see in this fund to 3 months of your spending. So what you can see in 2022, 2023, your expenditures exceeded revenues, but that was deliberate to invest in capital purchases within and equipment within the cafeterias. So that was part of the plan to spend down that fund balance and get it back under that acceptable level, which you can see on page 6, showing the fund balance for the school lunch fund. So you're at an adequate level, enough for liquidity, but not above the state recommended level. As far as our overall observations on the audit, financial standpoint, certainly in a stable condition. We talked a lot about, and with our other districts as well, again, that pandemic funding is not permanent, so you're even seeing it in your current budget. Those costs that were moved over to the special aid fund are moving back into the general fund. So in that first slide where you saw the expenditure red line, that's going to be anticipated to increase pretty substantially over the next few years. So something to look out as far as a future outlook, and also the retirement system, those costs are projected to increase as the market volatility is existing. And then as far as internal controls, we did not have any reportable findings. So we look at your internal controls and identify if there are any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in your processes. We did not have identify any reportable findings in that area. And then the last piece is we perform a single audit on your federal funding. So this is a compliance audit, and you were found to be in compliance with your major federal programs for the year ended June 30th, 2023. So that's our overall report on the audit. If there's any questions, I certainly will take those at this time.
Any suggestions?
I think we talked a little bit from the financial standpoint, certainly looking at how are we going to handle those additional costs that we've been able to shift over, and we've seen that. Certainly, it's always the cybersecurity, IT, that's a big area of exposure. As you go through your different audits, there's an internal audit that you're required to look at different cycles. So that's where an area that you may want to focus on. So those are probably the two biggest things that districts are dealing with right now.
What are your thoughts on the state crying poor in the near future? There's talking about billions of dollars. You feel it's real, not real?
Can you repeat the first part?
Okay.
I didn't see.
What's your thoughts on the state's been crying poor in the near future years? We're, I don't know how many billions are short next year.
Right.
What are your thoughts? Real,
Yeah.
not real?
Yeah, I think it is, that's another concern for local governments and school districts. Anybody who has a significant reliance on state aid, that could be in jeopardy of either being delayed or reduced. We saw that threat at the beginning of the pandemic, where the original projections was the state aid was going to be held back to stabilize the New York State budget. So there's always that threat. Certainly, I would take all of it seriously. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I wanted to, if I may, make a few comments at this time with respect to the audit. First of all, Matt, Charles, on behalf of the district, Becky and team, I want to thank you again for your professionalism, your thoroughness, for protecting and reporting honestly, which I know you always will do because of the ethical people that you are. I want to just touch on a couple of things. First of all, the lunch budget, you can see that we are now closer between revenues and expenditures in the reserve fund. If you recall, board members, in the past we had received a letter that we had exceeded 3 months of savings in our lunch reserve. That is no longer the case. With the work of Becky, Kevin, and Earl, we have made appropriate purchases to upgrade the cafeterias, tables, kitchen equipment, and we don't anticipate receiving that letter to have to spend against that reserve. That's number one. Number two, I want to slide this in about the material weaknesses and not having any. The audit committee also reviewed the internal claims report, and today they reviewed $10,500,000. They found one claim for $97. $10,500,000. One claim for $97, and it was for sales tax, which equals 7% of $97. That is remarkable. Finally, and a bit to Mr. Petrosi's point, I wanted to mention a couple of the positives and the challenges with the presentation of this audit. I consider these positives. We have had not one material finding reported in the last 2 years and only one in the last 8 years since I've been here as superintendent, and that was with the extra class account in elementary schools. That has been since rectified. Number two, we are at an all-time high in the number of staff we have employed by this district, 1,452. I say that proudly because our kids need and deserve that staff. So to have this type of an audit, this type of a reserve with that number of staff is something to be an accomplishment. Next, for the purposes of planning, I think it's a positive that the district has, led by Ms. Massaro, settled all 6 labor contracts through 2028, meaning that at least Becky and team will know how to plan for the next 4 years financially. I think that's a positive. 2028. Next, we have a fund balance that exceeds any fund balance that this district has ever had. Somebody affectionately says that he remembers times when we couldn't buy a 2-slice toaster. And now we have a fund balance that's at the highest mark the district has ever seen.
Now we can buy a 4-slice?
Now we can get a 4-slice toaster, and we can afford butter if we want. Those are really significant accomplishments for this district. But you're right, Mr. Petrosi, there are some challenges, and I'd like to articulate them as I see them. Number one, the American Rescue Fund money is going away. We know, you know, that our budget increased a great deal this year because through your approval and our financials team's work, we moved staff members out a year in advance. That money is going away. It was a great cushion for us. It was a great help. And I think, just commenting on the programs that you've heard Mr. Corella talk about, we've used it with efficacy and for the correct reason. But that money is now going away. Next, Matt alluded to this. He doesn't know where Foundation Aid is going to be. I like to not say we're in trouble, and I'd like to hope that the governor fully funds it, as she did last year. But as you pointed out, Mr. Petrosi, that's up in the air with the conjecture we're hearing in the state. I think it's a challenge. And finally, without getting into much depth, because I can't, you know, we have been reporting that we are dealing with 23 child victims cases. And the victims certainly deserve an appropriate restitution. However, that is an exposure for our fund balance. So I caution you on the good, the very good, I should say, and some of the upcoming challenges. Nonetheless, I will tell you that the audit committee went through this thoroughly, as 4 of your board members can tell you, and I believe Mr. Velardo made a motion to accept this at your 7 o'clock meeting. I'm really proud of this audit. I'm really proud of the fact that there's no weaknesses, and I'm really proud of the fact that we're at a fund balance rate that is historic in the district. It's not without challenges, but I couldn't be happier about this audit. So thank you for allowing me to say those things.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Have a good evening.
Good seeing you again.
Good to see you. Becky, could you come to the podium for a second? I want to share something publicly with the board. Thank you, gentlemen. First of all, Becky, congratulations on great leadership of that audit. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Don't look nervous. I'm not going to say anything bad. She looks so nervous. I say things to you all the time. You know. Secondly, I just would like to ask you to help me let the board and the viewing public know that currently we are in the midst of a major audit, another audit. There is a $20 million audit going on. I'm going to point out upstairs because that's where it's happening. Right now, 5 New York State auditors are looking at our $20 million of, and I know these terms are kind of wonky, I don't like that word, but they're CRISA, Gear 1, and ESSER 1. These are the first iterations of the pandemic money. And they are looking at all of our expenditures, processes, and procedures with relationship to that money. And I know they've thoroughly interviewed you, payroll, purchasing, human resources, and are really digging deeper, I will say even beyond the ESSER, GEAR, and CRISA money. So I don't know if you wanted to add anything, but I want to make sure the board is aware of that.
Yes, they are on site. They are auditing education stabilization funds since March 20th, I believe, of 2020, which is right after the schools closed, up until December of 2023. At this time, even though American Rescue funds overlapped in that time period, that is not a focus of this audit. It's all the other ESSER, GEAR, CRISA funds received prior to that. But they are doing a full, I would call it a risk assessment, procedural audit, and it has surpassed my expectations of what I thought they were looking at, but they are visiting, I believe, every district in New York State who has received those funds.
Right. So we are one of 635 districts on that list. They are here. At this point, they have not given Becky or myself any type of finding. They will be here through next week, early next week, I believe.
Well, they do leave tomorrow. They
Good.
return home. They are going to schedule a time to return.
Okay.
And it's based on, days off for the auditors assigned to us and things like that. So we will come up with a schedule of when they will return.
If they were to come up with any findings, we will notify you immediately. If they were to come up with any material weaknesses, what we would have to do is bring back to you a CAP or a corrective action plan that shows you what the weakness is and how we're going to rectify that.
Correct.
I'm hoping that there isn't any of that, but the potential does exist. And if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would bet that they will not find one nickel out of place. However, they're also looking at procedures and policies and charts and grids and paperwork stuff, not transactional paperwork, but just processes and documentation around that. So I do want the board, I do want the entire board, I do want the listening audience to know that this is happening in the district, and I do want to know that we're very comfortable, and in the spirit of transparency, we will articulate any weaknesses that have been uncovered. Okay?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Beck.
Thank you.
We have one other short presentation before we review the agenda, and I would like to call on Mr. Earl Smeal, who is adorned in a very new blue suit, very, very nicely adorned in a blue suit, with a pin on his lapel. And Mr. Smeal, what is that pin on your lapel? The board members would like to know.
It's a 5-year commemorative pin as director of the New York State School Facilities Association, Administrators Association.
Oh, well, congratulations. Didn't know that. Yay, congratulations. And your reward was the pin?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wow.
No watch?
I can't, you know what, I was going to try and get that job, but I'm going to pass. Yeah, I'm going to pass.
Maybe.
The suit wasn't part of it? It was just the pin?
No, the suit wasn't.
Maybe Miss Dunn likes your tie. Mr. Consemi likes your tie, very sharp.
What color would that be? Would that be
Periwinkle.
This is my Lester Holt collection.
the Lester collection?
He's the sharpest dressed man on TV. Anyways.
You only get these at our board meetings.
Man, I get educated. I don't
You
know.
do. Also joining Earl this evening is the esteemed Tony Maselli, who's been at work more days than some of the people at that table over there. And Bill's.
I'm sorry, I got confused. I thought Tony Danza was here.
Tony Danza is not here.
Tony Maselli.
Tony
Who's
Maselli
the boss?
is here.
Let's go.
Yeah.
How many years have you gotten that before? Well, I'm living in the 80s every day. And by the way, I would consider that Earl being Natalie clad.
Natalie clad.
Natalie clad. That's a good thing, Earl.
Oh, that's a nice way to put it. Nice, very good verbiage. Yeah. No, he went to LaSalle. He must have been in the accelerated program. We also have Bill Zagrafis. Bill's an architect, and he's done a nice job. And then, of course, we've got the manager of the Baltimore Orioles. They lost. I'm sorry. Stu Lowe is here with us, too. So let me set the stage and turn it over to Earl and open it up to your questions. We haven't done this in a while. We have a one-slide capital project. These projects that Earl and team are going to discuss are all paid for through American Rescue Fund's money. These all have to be completed and paid by September 1st of 2024. I think it's September 30th, but I'm telling all the contractors September 1st it has to be done because Becky and Richard, Earl's understudy, has to get the payment apps ready for these things. So these are all being paid for by American Rescue Act funds. And they're very significant projects in 4 schools. So Earl, can you just take us through them? Bill, Tony, and Stu are here for the backup.
All right, well, thank you very much for having us tonight. So let's start with the Community Education Center. We have 5 classrooms of the Community Education Center, 160th Street Elementary School, that we are going to have a fire suppression system installed in for those rooms. They're currently being used for our archives. So the fire suppression system, and there is an update as just hours ago, I was told that there will be a little bit of a delay from the November 10th because of the gas that's used. It's going to be a little bit, it's not going to get here until November 4th, and they cannot begin the process until the gas tanks are here. So.
What kind of gas do they use?
It's an argon nitrogen blend. So that what it does is it extinguishes flames without completely suffocating occupants. It gives you time to get out. God forbid there is a fire. It's the safest agent available, and not only for people, but for the documents, to not damage the documents.
It's kind of like a dark lager. Never mind, Earl, never mind.
I wouldn't know.
Okay, never mind. So this, and again, Maria's having a really nice week. These are the Maria Massaro fire suppression systems, because she's touched every one of those records in those five rooms. Listen, there's some records for varying reasons that we have to keep for the history of the district. And we've done a great job of doing 2 things: getting them all in one place, discarding what we can, putting on microfiche. On what? And they're in the cloud. They're in the cloud. Records that we can put in the cloud, but there are some hard copies, and they do take up 5 rooms worth of space at the CEC, and the final touch is to put this fire suppression system in.
Mark?
Yes.
I'm sorry. How long do a lot of these records have to be kept?
Maria's going to have
Forever?
to answer that.
There's a schedule that New York State has for municipalities, school districts, public records, which recently changed in May of 2023 from 2022. And each type of record has its own length of time that needs to be kept. Some 3 years, some 5 years after, some 50 years after the building closes, and we're talking about construction records. So there's all different lengths.
And we want to protect them as best we can.
Absolutely.
And the roof is now complete.
Yep. Yep.
And it is in great shape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great shape.
We're in good stead.
Next.
The next is Bleneva Bond Primary School. As you are all aware, we've been replacing the boiler plant there. I'm happy to say that is coming along really well. It looks like we'll have that completely wrapped up by November 3rd. We currently have one boiler, one of the new boilers up and running, and that's what's heating the building now. And and it's difficult to see, but on the picture closest to the word community, you can actually see a bright spot towards the back of the one boiler where the welder was there welding the final welds on the header for that second boiler. The one with all the white insulation is the brand new one that's up and running currently. So we'll be completely redundant well before heating season is in effect for us.
Thank you.
The next one is Henry J. Kalfas. As you know, we've experienced problems over the years there with the heat pump VRV system, and we are in the process of replacing the systems in that building. System number 3 is complete. System 5 will be complete, we're hoping, as early as tomorrow. Oh, I'm sorry, end of the month, my apologies. End of the month, and then we have some scheduled for over Christmas break, and then spring break, and then the last 2 systems, summer of next year. So it's important that we stage them in this manner so that we can continue to heat and cool the space with the DOAS units that are there.
A quick question there.
Yes, sir.
The Kalfas, so we much maligned, and we've had some difficulties there. Is it the unit that we purchased before, or is it the PM scheduling that's not being done right, or, you know, what really was the reason? It's not an old unit.
Right. I really believe it was a combination of factors, okay? The version of those heat pumps from the manufacturer ended up being problematic. But through the installation of this system and ultimately through the demo of some of the systems, we found that there were potentially some installation issues that led to the problem. The problem really wasn't as simple as this is a bad manufacturer, unfortunately. It was a multifaceted problem, which was what made it so difficult to surmount over the years. We're hoping now that with the installation of the new system and with the careful eye, and I have to point to Stu on this, no offense to the other two gentlemen, but Stu has, I believe, over 35 years experience, prior experience in HVAC installation. So Stu, that entire project is under his watchful eye, and he's already pointed out a couple of things that wasn't quite as good as it could have been with the original installation of the equipment. So, Mr. Pareto. No, it's been 10 years now. Yeah, it's been 10 years. So the. Yeah,
Right, I've been on the board for 10, and that job was not, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember every meeting, yeah.
About 13.
Go ahead, Earl.
So the picture of the crane to the right is the pick that's setting one of the heat pump units on the roof of Kelfis. And that picture was taken on September 16th. The one to the left segues us into, the crane picture to the left segues us into Niagara Falls High School. And that picture was taken last Friday at roughly 10 a.m. I went by the high school, and Stu and the gentleman from D.V. Brown were there, and they were offloading the new cooling tower. So the new cooling tower is set just outside of the red-green cafeteria, and that bottom picture is what it looks like from the roof. So immediately at the bottom of that picture would be door number 3. And that's your brand new cooling tower in 4 different pieces sitting on the ground waiting for the demo of the old cooling tower to begin, which will begin on Veterans Day.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, sir, that's the original cooling tower when we opened the school?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
It is 23 years old now.
23 years, yeah, who cares? Oh, yeah.
We're replacing it in kind. It's another 600-ton chiller. I believe that, at least that's what it's registered as on the New York State Registry for cooling towers. The chillers are scheduled to be shipped October 27th. We're expecting them no later than mid-November. And then all the pieces and parts, everything from pumps to VFD units for the pumps, will arrive after that. And we have an optimistic completion date of March 1st of 2024 for the chiller plant, so that we hopefully, God forbid, if there are to be any supply chain issues that we're not currently aware of, still be able to get this chiller up and running by mid-April, well in time for cooling season.
Do you anticipate any supply chain issues?
Not at
Stu?
this time.
Tony? Okay.
Not at this
Because that's a big topic.
Yes, it is.
Earl, can I ask a couple questions?
Certainly.
We have a tower. The tower is open to the atmosphere.
Yes, sir.
It's a wet bulb theory,
Yes, sir.
evaporative cooling. And then we have, and what does that do? That water is the cooling water for the chillers?
Well, there's two cycles of water. There's the water that does the cooling, the evaporative water, and then there's the water from the loop that the chillers recycle through the cooling tower, the other side of the cooling tower, that gets cooled.
So the chillers are compressors, correct?
Yes.
And that is the cooling, it cools fluid that goes through the whole building.
Yes, sir.
And that's water also with glycol, I think, right, or no?
It does not have glycol. It's a straight water system.
So that is what evaporators in the building used to cool.
That's
that
correct.
cooling wall. So the tower has two sides,
Yes, sir.
and one is the water to kill.
One is the water side that evaporates off the cooling, the heat from the
Right,
water
but-
that's
and
getting
that's
returned
cooling
to
the
the
water
tower.
that's going to
And
the
The other
chillers.
side is the loop that goes to the chillers.
Okay.
Stu, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. It's an open
It's the
loop.
open loop, it's cooling the water that cools the water, cools the compressor, it takes the heat away from the compressors, allow it to cool the water in the loop.
Yes.
Now, is that water in the loop that goes to the evaporators, is that drained every year?
The water in the loops that goes to
No,
the evaporator.
because it's inside except for what's,
Yes, we do drain it every year.
you drain it from the
Yes.
tower, right?
Yeah, we drain down all of our heat, all of our cooling coils at the end of the year, and then we refill the system at the beginning of cooling season.
You drain all of that loop water out?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's why the grass is so green. I don't know.
Yes, it's, so the reason we do it is preventative. God forbid you lose steam and you've got a coil in an air handling unit and it's gonna freeze. We may have, we may have.
We had an issue with that, we had an issue when I first got on the board, and it was another
It was a big issue.
Well, that wasn't cooling, that was sprinkler water. Back in 2001?
Yeah.
Yes, that was sprinkler
Yeah,
water. and-
separate one, yeah. Yes, you're right. No, you're right, Tony.
Oh, it was
You're
after
right.
that one? Okay.
Yeah, it was after that. Yeah. I didn't hear your
Okay.
question, Earl.
There was a hose that didn't go into a floor drain in one of the air handling rooms when we were refilling the system. And once it filled, it leaked down into room 420, and we cleaned it up the next day. Is that the one you're referring to? That would have been about 2 years ago, Mr. Bass.
There's been a couple of instances. Nothing like the great flood of
At the high school?
2201,
Oh, the sprinkler system.
the sprinkler system, nothing like that.
Thank you for clarifying. The only reason I asked is when you said that.
Stu?
When Stu responded, it's almost like, that's why I really understand.
It's been a matter, of course, in the 20-some years we've operated the building that we drain those down. Each fall, fill them back up each spring.
Stu's making notes. So, each one of these projects is paid for, and I'm doing this also for particular reasons, so that when we're audited on this, you are well aware of how your money is being spent. Rick does a lot of presentations on a lot of expenditures. Earl does a few presentations on a lot of expenditures we're making here on them, and you should know where we are with the American Rescue Funds. If I could just step aside on that before I call Chief Del Porto to the microphone. We also are in the process, Bill, of getting very close to having all of our capital projects, meaning Phase 2, approved. And let me just quickly reiterate what Phase 2 are. The 2 air conditioning units at Hyde Park, at LaSalle and Gaskill, the secured vestibules in all of the schools, and cameras, and wiring, and nuisance alarms, and technology that Ray works on, the Walk of Fame behind the school, a greenhouse attached to Bonneva Bond School, and am I missing anything big on that? No, that's the $29.3 million project. Anything to report that's untoward, we're just really sitting and waiting for state ed to approve it. Oh, I know, huge thing, the window film. Huge, the window film, the 3M window film. That's $1.5 million. That's also in the hands of state ed. Are we getting closer, Bill?
Everything's at SED, all questions have been answered. We're waiting for them to give a final
Yeah. And the other thing that we weren't
Well,
able
didn't
to
we
take
have-
advantage of is the expedited reviews.
That's what I was gonna say. We had
They've,
to,
they've
cut back on
removed,
that.
they've removed
They removed it?
that approval process.
If I may?
Yes.
We also had a little bit of a purposeful delay to
Good
make
point.
sure that our MCA calculations would line up.
Right.
Because of the previous spending of other capital projects, we had to wait until that funding had completely sunsetted so
Right.
that it would release our aid limit
Right.
higher so that we could fully capture state aid on these projects.
So for those viewing at home, you have to wait a 5-year period from substantial completion certificate? No, from commissioner's approval date to the next date that you want to start a project to get the full 98%. And we were like within weeks of that. So we just held off on responding to some questions because I want to say around October 11th, that date came off for 79th Street and a couple of other schools because we promised the public that this would be a 98% reimbursement project. So we're in good shape there. Anything else for the gentleman? Stu, I noticed that you have an orange folder, an orange watch, and that your favorite team is the Baltimore Orioles. Is there anything going on with that? Yeah, okay. Because Mr. Velardo used to wear a lot of Dodger blue up until recently, and he hasn't. Thank you, guys. Chief, do you mind coming forward? Rick.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. I don't know if you know this gentleman, but this is Chief Brian Del Porto, and
Isn't this the greatest
Retired.
athlete ever to come out of the Niagara Catholic?
I'm sorry, is that a school, Niagara Catholic?
It was.
Oh, it was a school, okay.
There's actually going to be a corner of the Wall of Fame or hub for Niagara Catholic. I'm
Just
told.
you, just
I'm
you.
told. And the Gandino brothers.
Chief, I have you here because tomorrow, I'd like, A, the board to know this, and B, I would like the viewing audience to know this, but tomorrow it's going to begin, I think, at 10 o'clock with the setup and arrangements, but the actual active shooter drill at Niagara Falls High School will commence at noon tomorrow. This is a full-scale 8 law enforcement agency, first responder drill that we're putting on, and if you would just be so kind as to share with the board just the preliminary idea behind it, what's going on, what they can expect to see. It's not a surprise. And let me just parenthetically say, tomorrow is homecoming. The students are going to have their assembly, and they're dismissed around 10:30-ish. So this will not impact students tomorrow, but there will impact staff. It will impact the community, and we are this is only a drill, but we are treating it with very dedicated seriousness. Could you speak for us on that a little bit?
Sure. So we'll be staging at the field house at Niagara Falls High School at around 10 o'clock with at least 8 police departments. It's a very realistic drill. We believe we've been planning it for months with the police department in coordination with their partners, the fire department, as well as AMR ambulance service. It's going to be a full-scale drill, an active shooter drill where an intruder were to come in. We plan right at noon. An intruder were to come in the building, make his way into the building, and inflict injury or death on staff or students, and the police will respond accordingly. So we wanted this to be very realistic. In the past, we've responded with SWAT teams. That's not really the standard operating procedure during a real event. So it'll be patrol officers responding from the Niagara Falls Police Department, the New York State Police, the New York State Parks Police, the Sheriff's Office, as well as Border Patrol, a few other close-by agencies that would respond. So they'll enter the building and actually clear the building just like they would during a real event, and respond to a real intruder that's going to be hiding in the event. We will have a full complement of security, there to keep any type of bystanders or any, because there will be activities in the other parts of the building away from the actual exercise. We are involving some of the students that are permission slip students to be role players in the event, as well as some of the staff. Last time we did a big drill like this was in 2015, so it's well overdue. But these drills, as you know, take a lot of planning and a lot of preparation and a lot of coordination with a lot of different departments. So it's hard to get the manpower here to do that. So we thank the police department as well as the fire department in providing us the manpower to provide this drill. This concludes for this year, but this year alone we've done an elementary school, a preparatory school, and now the high school. So the police department, and at least the Niagara Falls Police Department, has been through an elementary, a prep school, and the high school in terms of an actor-shooter scenario. The scenario also involves police dispatch. They're calling in extra dispatchers to handle the exercise and events, so they practice. And it'll be a full-scale event. The fire department will be there on standby, as well as AMR ambulance.
And we're going to take this right to the principal. We'll get the call. She will proceed as she's been trained to do. I will get a call. I will be off-site. I will go through my scenario of steps. That will include informing you and how I would inform you. I want to tell you it is extremely, extremely sad that we're doing this and we're talking about this. But it would be extremely, extremely irresponsible to not do this. So we are going to treat this with the utmost of integrity in how we're doing it. It is only a drill. I made an auto dialer call. Ms. Velardo has made auto dialer calls and told people. We've put this out there publicly. If we did not invite media, if media were to show up, we have a plan for how they would be handled. They'd be escorted to a specific off-site room. We would address them in the way we would in case this were ever to happen. I think the other powerful thing that's going to happen at 1 o'clock or so is that we will assemble in the amphitheater and we will do a debriefing. What worked, what didn't work, what did we forget, what don't we have, what should we have, what should we have done, did we have too much radio talk, was somebody found in the hall, whatever it may be. The power is in the debrief as well as the act. Would you agree?
100%, yeah, that's what I was going to close with, but there'll be a full-scale debriefing just to see, like Mr. Laurie said, anything that we can improve on moving forward. And there will be things that we need to improve upon and different policies and procedures, but I have every confidence in the police as well as the fire department. They do these trainings a lot, whether they're here or out of Niagara Falls. So I think it'll be a very successful training, much needed, but I do think we'll learn a lot and move forward from there.
It starts in the field house around 9?
The police are staging in the field house. The staff and students will stage. We're actually going to brief them inside of the high school in the amphitheater, but the whole event will commence at noon, give or take, where the intruder will make its way through the high school, and the actual 911 call will be placed into the actual dispatch center, and they'll start dispatching officers, and they'll set up like they would actually set up during an actual event, responding from the road, establishing an incident command center. Going from there, should we need a media area, that would be established. Ms. Dewar, I've been talking with Ms. Dewar. She knows her role as far as dealing with the media should an actual event happen. We don't anticipate that happening for tomorrow, but it is obviously going to be good practice for us because in a real event they'll be coming.
And we're not blocking streets off, but we may do that in the event this is with an actual event. You may block Porter Road off.
We probably would. I'm sure the police would absolutely block it off. We are going to change our variable messaging board in front of the high school to read police drill. So if anyone's driving by and they see the activity,
Right.
They know what it is.
And I'm sorry.
It's about 2 hours from noon. They anticipate by the time they make their way through the area of the school that we're using, it'll be a couple hours. So they're trying to make it as realistic as possible, involve as many officers from as many agencies as possible to get them into the school and familiar with the school and checking. We were we were running through it today a little bit, and there's a little bit of difference between our schools and the other schools, quite frankly, that they've done with those mini labs between classes. So
Yeah.
that poses them some problems with locking doors and unlocking doors, because there's ways to get in. So it was really good just today to have the walkthrough. Yeah, yes, yep. Yeah, there'll be a bad guy that they're going in, multiple, but I don't want to give away the scenario too much. Yeah.
Nick, were you interested?
And they'll be.
Yeah.
The student role players will play like they've been injured, so they'll be going through their role of, you know, what an injured student unfortunately would be like, so the officers get used to that as well.
First, thanks for sharing this, Brian. I appreciate it, Chief. Just two questions, because this is interesting to me. Is it, being a staged event for the perpetrator, do the officers, responding officers, do they know? I would assume they don't know what the next move is, and it's kind of a give and take back and forth of, they're genuinely reacting to an unknown situation. They don't know where to go. Or is that how it works? Like, or are they briefed prior to, this is going to be, you know, step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you know, how does that work?
So the scenario's built by the team, including the police and myself. So the supervision of the police department knows the exact scenario. The officers that responding will not. They won't even know the actual location. You know, the supervision does know that we have a control center inside of the high school with multiple cameras. So it depends how the scenario. We're hoping that the way the incident command system works, the first officer on scene is the incident commander, and then it gets passed to higher authority. We're hoping that they do make their way into the camera room. I have every confidence that they will. That's probably one of the things that they should do, to see where the suspect would be. But the actual responding officers won't know the scenario until it transfolds, as well as our staff. It's scripted, but the players won't know what the script
Right.
is. Yeah.
Which is the benefit of the
100%,
drill.
yes.
I have a second question, and I only ask, and first of all, let me preface this by saying, as we all do, I have full confidence in everyone involved in this and the training. I'm just, because we have kids in the event, I'm just curious, is there live ammunition? Nobody's coming into the school with live
There's
ammunition.
not. That's actually why that's a great point. That's actually why the police are staging at the field house 2 hours before. There'll be multiple safety checks before they make their way into the actual high school. They'll also, after they clear the field house, on the way to the field house, they would be responding from the field house into the front of the school, or whatever entrance they choose to make entrance into. Before they make entrance, they have to clear a tactical operations center, which will also do a safety check. So there's double checks involved. Like I said, they've done this at other schools, so they're very good at it, but every precaution is taken to ensure that that doesn't happen.
Chief,
Thank
do they
you.
put a tag on the guns or their shoes or something?
They usually put, they'll put an orange tag on the police officers that are playing. They'll clear their guns. Usually, in my experience, usually what they do is they'll put an orange string through the barrel of the gun to indicate that nothing can come out of the gun. Right.
Earl, did you have a question? I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
The two last things. Earl Smeal, something that we've purchased that we'll talk about in our debrief, but we won't have. We purchased this through the building condition survey, but what we're going to be able to do in real time, working with Ray and Earl and Bill Zagrafis and Brian Trott, is we've purchased those interactive floor plans. Can you just mention, this is something brand new that we are just buying, and we'll talk about this in the debrief, but I think this is another support for the police. Can you talk about it?
Yeah, so as part of our building condition survey this year, it was aidable for us to do what's called a reality capture of all of our buildings. And what that is, it's the trade name is a Matterhorn scan. And they actually go through, and most of you, I'm sure, if not everyone, is familiar with Google Street View. It's just like Google Street View for the inside of a building. So there's a floor plan for Niagara Falls High School, and you can actually look at the floor plan, hit an area, and then you go to the hallway view, let's call it, or the street view, and you actually go into that space, and you can see every detail of that space. So what it helps law enforcement with is a blind corner, let's say, or a hidden doorway. They can see it before they're ever at risk, to know what environment they're going into. So we're hoping to have the bugs worked out so that I can show it to the first responders tomorrow. But how we're anticipating with the help of Ray's staff is what would happen, God forbid, in the event of an active shooter or something similar. Everyone on the list would get a link texted to them, and it would open all of those scan files, and they could go to them and access them right there on their phone and know what hallway they're going to and what it looks like and what to expect.
We're really upping our game. The last thing I'll say, and we're still in talks with this, and just like we did when we brought Evolve technology to you, and Chief, I think you'd agree it's been a success. Chief, Ray, Earl, and myself continue to look at a product called Zero Eyes. If we had Zero Eyes attached to our cameras, tomorrow when the officer, or when the bad guy was responding with his weapon displayed, it would pick it up the minute he got out of his car. So we would get to him or her before they even got to the door, which is something that we are seriously looking at. The entire state of Utah has purchased this tool. It's, I think the chief endorses it. Ray is working through some of the concerns about the BOCES firewall that we might have to open up. And I think that's the only stumbling block until we're in agreement that we're going to ask you to purchase it. We'll bring it here before we purchase it. It's affixed to the cameras. So this is artificial intelligence fixed to the cameras that detects the weapon outside of school. So that's another layer we're going to be looking at purchasing.
Or inside.
Or inside, too. We could do it
Hopefully
inside.
it's outside. But
I think, and I don't want to speak for Ray, but I think what we are thinking about is a pilot, and the pilot wouldn't just be for Niagara Falls High School, it would be for all schools, but we would pilot it by only doing the outside cameras first. We'd want to make sure we like it with the outside cameras, and if we do, then we may want to assume the cost on the inside cameras. But I just want the public to know that security discussions and layers do not stop, and tomorrow is a very big one. And Chief, thank you for coordinating all of this. Board members, you're welcome. This is not for the public viewing by any stretch of the imagination. Board members, you're welcome. If you have the time and wish to come, I would just ask you to come to the field house. And you could come from the field house, and then the chief can tell us where we can and can't go. But I'm going to pretend like it's a regular drill for me, and how I would respond with my radio, with you, with the communication with the chief, with Chief, whoever was assigned as the command leader, Chief Foss, or whoever he assigned, and I'm going to act like it's really going on, then communicating back to central office so that we can put out a message to parents, all the way to the point of putting the message out to the transportation companies, getting their buses ready in case we had to transport kids to a different location. And we're going to try and do every single thing that we would do tomorrow. Final questions for Chief.
I just have one thing
Sure.
to be told with your question, Mr. Bilson. There will be something, they're called shop boxes, so it'll make the sounds of gunfire inside of the school. Some of the officers will also be using what's called simunition, which is basically paintballs. So they will be using that. No live rounds whatsoever should be in. However, they do have a security team that stands by just if a real event were to happen during the training, but there'll be no live rounds. I just want to be clear on that.
Chief, thank you for that. This is so interesting. It really is. So it's exactly the same thing we have. Is the noise so that the responders can recognize distance from shooters and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's a system that the sheriff's department's actually letting us borrow it. It's called Shopbox. So it actually, speakers that portrays the sound of gunfire so the officers know. In a nutshell, the initial response is the first responders the police are supposed to go to where the gunshots are to mitigate any type of damage that the shooter is doing. So it'll give us multiple locations, so the officers have to make their way through the school. So it's a pretty good system that they have.
We're not using the SWAT team as we've done because,
We're not.
from what I understand, we would not wait to, the SWAT team could be in their homes, at the gym, shopping, and that's not how it's going to work. So that's why I would assume these are patrol officers.
And, you know, I don't want to speak for the police department anymore, but, you know, we have a SWAT team, but they're not a full-time SWAT team because of manpower-wise. So they would be responding. Some of them may be on patrol, hopefully. Some of them may not. A lot of them would be responding from home. So in a real event, it would be just be the patrol officers responding, and they're well-equipped these days. You know, the police department's upgraded the weaponry that they have and the responses that they have, and the shields and ballistic shields and even their bulletproof vests. So, you know, they've updated as we've grown also, so I think they're well prepared to handle it, you know, as well as their armored vehicle, should they need it, that's on standby. But it won't be the SWAT team because we can't wait.
No, we can't wait. Any other questions for Chief?
No, I say thank you.
Yeah.
This is a lot of time, energy, effort, and involved for something that's extremely important. Thanks, Chief.
It would be, as I said, I'm really sad to talk about this. I'm really sad to talk about this. But to not have our community, our kids, our families, our staff know that this is going to happen would be irresponsible. Chief, I just had one question for you. Are you enjoying your job?
I love this job, yes.
Are you? Okay.
I should be paying you, I told you that.
No. Becky, the fund balance is a little low. Let's pick it up. Pick up that fund balance back. Come on. He just said No, I just want to say, Chief has been fantastic. A great addition to the team. He is all over the schools. He has really upped the game of our safety officers. He has held them accountable. He's helped us with, as a liaison with parents sometimes. He's worked in human resources at times, a lot of times with Maria. He's worked with her on different things. We unfortunately deal with different issues throughout the day. We're running a city within a city. 7,011 students is a city within a city, and we have the very best of the best. And communicates. The other thing, you weren't here, but I want to mention, sad, many athletic events across Western New York are being interrupted. We've had no problems at our athletic events because I think the plan that Mr. Contento and you have laid out keeps us safe. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do. You know, but honestly, you know, I'll take credit if you're giving it, and Mr. Contento does a great job, in my personal opinion, with organizing all that. But honestly, we couldn't do that. I'm not just saying that. I couldn't do it without the board as well as Mr. Laurie giving us the resources that we've asked for. Everything down to, we talked earlier about the capital projects. Some of those recommendations were made through those multi-team threat assessments. The bulletproof or film on the windows are essential. So it, you know, it essentially makes us all look good. But, you know, if you were saying no, we wouldn't be any farther ahead. And you folks always make it a top priority. So that's why I do enjoy this job so much.
You feel we're in a good place?
I do, and I would stake this career up that the Niagara Falls School District is as prepared as anywhere in the country. I personally believe well ahead of probably 98% of the schools in the country with where we've come in terms of weapon detection, security, the capital projects that we're doing, the drills that we're doing, the coordination with the police departments and other first responders. You know, I talk to a lot of folks, and I'm still in a lot of different type of first responder police organizations, and most places, in a lot of cases, are calling us to see what we're doing that are much larger districts around the country. So, and you know, that wouldn't be done without you guys voting yes for the things that we need and approving it. So,
no, you're right.
You make my job
Your
easy.
contract's back on. Becky, forget the money. All right.
Can I make just a quick comment?
Oh, sure.
Quick, when you know, most of us are parents on this board, or you know,
grandparents, maybe?
maybe grandparents. But the thing is when you see what has happened all over the country in the last 20 years, the last 15 years, what we have to do, and yes, and you're right, Mr. Laurie, it is very sad that we have to even talk about this. But you know something? I've said this before. As a board member, I sleep better at night as a board member, parent, what have you. That we're taking, yes, we do spend a lot of money, but it's got nothing to do with money. It's got to do with making kids safe. So if you folks that are out there listening to us right now, you know, this is one thing we take, we may have a little joke once in a while about whatever, but we take security very seriously.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony. And I would say there's nothing is better, nothing is more important than relationships with kids and having kids that are willing to come forward and give us information. So that soft part of what we do is just as critical as all of the hard things we've discussed here. So, Chief, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Ray, would you pull up the agenda? We have a very brief agenda review, and that will conclude our preparation.
And Mark, may I interrupt you with a couple housekeeping things I want to get to?
Sure.
Before you get into that?
Absolutely.
If I may?
You're in charge.
Oh, thank you. First of all, colleagues, I would like to extend my gratitude and thanks to Clara Dunn.
Oh, yeah.
For being at a meeting from NSBA for 8 hours. And Clara, I will be sending a letter to NSBA. If they don't straighten that mess out, they may have one less member. Because that is ridiculous. That needs to be taken care of. Okay, that was number one. Number two, I just was brought to my attention today that Mark Laurie is being honored by NOAA
Okay.
on Friday.
That's Saturday. Let's move on.
On Saturday, I apologize.
Yeah,
I
you'll
just
get
got the notice today. So if anybody is available to go Saturday, I have a list here. Judy will take care of the arrangements. And Mark, congratulations.
Thanks.
I am sorry that we didn't get notice.
No, it's all right.
So anyway,
You're all busy that night. Next. Yeah, you're all busy. Next,
Saturday.
Russ. Next.
okay. This is the sheet and there's the flyer. And Mark, you may work on the agenda.
Thank you, sir. Let's go to the agenda, please. Ray, thanks for your help. We've got the normal routine items, oral and written communication. Of course, for those that are listening or in the audience, any oral communications need to be on this agenda that we're presenting. Other oral communications come at the end. There are the minutes. There's one budget transfer. There is a bid. We put an RFP out for a athletic strength and training and nutrition coach for Niagara Falls High School. It was a full-blown RFP. It was direct solicited, and it was posted in the paper of record. We did receive one bid, and that a low bidder has met all the criteria and qualifications, and that's what bid number 9 is, for the group to start on November 1st with our students. Yes, sir.
Question, Mr. Laurie.
Yeah.
Any point in time, do we get to meet the?
Oh, yeah, we'll bring them forward. Great idea, Tone.
And
We'll
you
bring
know,
them in.
I just want to see what they've come together, what
Yep.
the plan is.
Yes.
And as a coach, I'd
Great.
like to know.
As a matter of fact, what we'll do at that meeting is we will have a couple of audience members perform some of the strength and nutrition techniques that have to happen. I think it's a good idea. Or some of the staff at this table will have to perform that. So, but I think I'll get to pick who they are. Yeah. Russ will deadlift 3 undry clean shirts. Followed by, no. I got a better one. Russ Petrozzi will demonstrate a tactical move called a clean and press.
Yeah.
How about that? A clean and press. No, Tony, seriously. It's a good idea, Tony, and we'll do that.
Well, I just want.
No, it's a good idea, Tony. Please, audience members know that we will have Mr. Pareto also bench pressing at that time. We have Maria. Get me out of this. Go to the personnel reports. Would you please come and help me, please? A clean and press from Mr. Petrosi. I thought that's pretty apropos.
It was good. I saw the smoke coming out.
I just,
Good stuff.
Oh, I didn't bring that.
We got it right here, right? Yeah.
I think you have it, I need mine.
All right.
you don't have it memorized?
Well, not the certificate.
Oh, interesting.
Not the certificate.
Very interesting. I'm
Sorry, Miss.
writing that part of the
All right,
evaluation.
write that in my eval.
Doesn't have the personnel report memorized. Got that? Next, go ahead. Maria.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so, moving to the classified report, we provided you the report a week ago, but we do have the addition of, we have a secretary in the curriculum and instruction office that you'll see there on page 2 of 6 that we've added. We have a temporary assignment for an assistant child care associate at Maple Avenue on page 3 of 6 that you'll see there. And then we didn't add anything additional after that to our change of status. So any questions on the classified report?
Is that an addendum?
No,
No.
that's
Thank
just
you.
with the asterisks,
Appreciate it.
okay?
What are the numbers on that classified, 1 through?
Hold on one second, I'm getting to it. Mr. Petrosi, I think we're at 1 through 10 there on
1
the
through
classified
10?
report. Yep,
And that was for classified, okay?
correct. Then we're on the certificated report, and on page 1 of 23, you'll see we have 2 resignations to provide to you. Notably, on page 2 of 23, we have the appointment of a principal at Cataract Elementary School.
Mr. Petrosi and members of the board, when we get to this part, and you've got a first and second on the table, may I be allowed to speak on the principal appointment?
I think so.
Thanks.
Of course.
Thank you.
On page 3 of 23, the addition of a teaching assistant at LaSalle Prep, some voluntary transfers of an assistant principal, principal to principal on special assignment, and a school counselor to dean of students.
And no addendum there either, or is there?
No addendum there either.
Thank you.
And then you do already have the addendum to the personnel report where you have 3 contracts, and those 3 contracts are for the assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, the administrator for human resources, and the administrator for school
Okay,
business
so we have to
services.
bring the addendum in.
Correct.
If so, thank you.
Any questions?
Questions for Maria? Maria, how are we, while you're here, how are we doing with staffing, open positions, concerns? I continue to see great things at Head Start. You're filling the staff well at Head Start. How are we doing? Open positions, concerns, now or the future?
Right now, I am going to recommend to you tomorrow, to recommend to the Board of Education, the hiring of a physical education teacher to replace the teacher who's out here.
Okay?
And then we have a teaching assistant opening, and I think, we need a long-term science teacher.
So, board members, we have a teaching assistant, we have a phys ed teacher, I'll look at the recommendation tomorrow. A teaching assistant, I'm sure you'll be able to accommodate.
Yes,
And we do have a long-term absence for a science teacher. Am I hearing that correctly?
that's correct.
That will require some work.
That requires a little bit of work, yes.
That will require some work, okay? So that, I just want you all to know, that that's where we'll fill the phys ed, we'll fill the teaching assistant. We do have to, Maria does have to recommend a long-term substitute for science. Those are the openings as of this moment. Music, how are we?
We're posting for the music teacher right now. The music teacher that's listed here, that's in December. On the classified side, we're posting for a school office support clerk because we have a retirement there in December as well. And of course, we have a couple maternities coming up. Those happen all the time. We're looking to fill people out. Yeah, that's right.
She will stay with us until Christmas.
Until December, yep.
So you'll post now, and hopefully we'll appoint in December.
We have our posting up.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I just communicated with the teacher today, and she may have some people to recommend to us for the position.
Good. I just want you to know where we are with staffing, and I think that's a good place to be.
Maria, question, those resignations, retiring, moving to another job?
The certificate.
Well, either one, it just bothers me that a
The
teacher would leave.
certificated resignations, one of our teachers is moving out of state. And one of our teachers is moving to a different position in another school district, very close by. It was a health position. We had her in a physical education position, and she wanted a health position, and she received a health position, so.
Thank you.
And there are no leaves of absences with those positions?
No, these are actual resignations.
Okay, so there are no leaves of absence, no one-year leaves behind those.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome. I know that's been a point for the board too. I want to know, we have not done that.
That way we can fill those jobs permanently.
They will be hired with Ps, I would assume?
They'll be recommended to you to be probationary appointment.
Okay, I'll have that ability to recommend.
Appreciate that.
Okay? Makes sense to everyone? Great. We have 10 short-term contracts. The only one that was added was Dan Capilazzo at the bottom. There's his amount. Now, you remember, November 16th, I think, Mr. Velarde, you're the one that, November 16th, we'll have our distinguished alumni. Dan is the person that will be making those beautiful pictures and posters for all of our schools, one for the recipient. We'll have them all here. We'll have the folks here on the 16th of November at 5:30.
I know there's going to be more than one recipient.
Yes.
For that. Have we notified family members that are still in the area to participate, or have we gotten that far yet?
We haven't, but we will. We'll do that right away. Have you?
Have you?
Okay. Okay, we'll make sure that they get plenty of
Just
notice.
asking a question. So.
Yep.
Julie's giving me looks over there.
You did.
Okay.
Are they attending?
Do we have a lot of it coming in attendance for that? A lot of the family will be here?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, they don't have exact numbers yet.
All right.
There's three recipients.
We'll make sure that we have enough seats in here to do that. I hope we get that many people. That would be great. Okay, let's move on. 601, the independent audit. Your audit committee recommended to you that you accept it. You heard the presentation from Drescher and Malecki. Mr. Petrosi, members of the board, after you have a first and second on that, may I speak? Yes, sir. Thank you. 602 is the cyber insurance. Becky told you that we're adding to our cyber insurance. I believe it went up about $34,000, if I recall.
That was the actual cost of it.
That's the cost.
It actually went down about $3,000 from the prior year.
Added to the fund balance, so the total cost is $34,000. Well worth it. A compassionate care is for door-to-door transportation for a special needs student. F-Bites we spoke about last week. That is for a person to be the manager of the Starbucks Coffee Cafe outside of Niagara Falls High School. Mr. Bass asked about Game On. They bring all of their equipment to the school after school, and they use all the games at the school. So you're right, there isn't a brick or mortar. It's all picked up and packed up and brought to the school. They're using it. And this is for an after-school program funded and supported by after-school funds. But you were right. 606 is for consulting services, and that is for professional development for our English as a new language teachers. We have 12 of them, and we're up to 12 ENL teachers, and we need to do some staff development, I think November 7th, Rick, if I'm right. 607, Ray did a good job in your absence, Rick, explaining this. This is for the purchase of attendance software. I think you remember Ray talking about it last week, so it gives nudges, reminders, encouragements, et cetera, for parents and students with attendance issues. Anything more to add to that, Rick?
No, just that the software is part of our DSIP, our District Comprehensive Improvement Plan, and we're looking at making sure that we decrease our chronic absentee rate.
Thanks, Rick. 609 is for, it's the use of American Rescue Funds for CIR. CIR is being paid, they're an electrical company, $23,071. And there is another capital project payment, and that is for D.V. Brown. D.V. Brown is being paid $336,415. And some of those photos that you saw this evening is what we're paying for. There are no, at that time, the public comment on non-speaking agenda items, Judy will have the sheet for the president. I do have a bit of a report tonight with some updates on things that are going on in and around the district. The meetings for the board in November are on Thursday, November 9th and Thursday, November 16th. They are back-to-back meetings again, this time because of Thanksgiving. Members of the board, that is all we have for this evening. There is no need for an executive session tonight, and I thank you in anticipation for a very, very smooth meeting. Any questions for me? I believe we have about 5 minutes before we begin the actual meeting. All right?
Are we on, Tom? We're on, okay. Just wait for my colleagues make their way to their seats. Give them 1 second for Mr. Consemi to get settled. Okay. Welcome, everybody. It should not be a very long meeting. We will do our best. Quick note before we get started. We've been working on these items for the past month, so if it seems like we're really going through them, we're going to spend a lot of time on them. Colleagues, any questions? You know I tend to move quickly. If there's any questions, please slow me down. Saying that, let's please stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance. Thank you, and we'll have a prayer by Mrs. Dunn.
Okay, let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us all to see another day, for many did not. Please continue to heal our sick, the world situation, protect and keep us in your care in the midst of troubling times. For God, we know you are in control. We praise and honor you for who you are, and we all say thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Thanks, Clara. Judy, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bass.
Present.
Mr. Bilson. Present. Mr. Consemi.
Here.
Mr. Capizzi. I'll circle back around. Mrs. Dunn.
Here.
Mr. Cudella.
Here.
Mr. Pareto.
Here.
Mr. Velardo.
Here.
Mr. Petrosi.
Here.
Mr. Capizzi is muted.
Okay, he is on. I show him muted. Okay,
Right,
Mr. I'm sorry.
Oh, present then, if he's...
Yeah, show him present. Mike and Paul, if you should jump off, please make sure we know so we can make a note of it. Mike and Paul, I'm going to consider you all yes votes unless otherwise stated, so we don't have to wait for the delay. So if you have a nay vote, please make sure I capture it and Judy captures it. Saying that, we will get started. Oral communications on agenda items. I don't believe we have
None,
anybody.
sir.
Thank you, ma'am. We do have one written communications from Scott McKay with a thank you for our adjournment and member of his sister. And moving on to recommended actions for the superintendent of schools, 401 and 402. 401 is minutes, September, and 402 is approval of budget transfer number 3. Could I have a motion, please? Thank you, Rob. Second, Nick. Questions? Call the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Judy. 403 is approval of the following bid for athletic strength training. Motion, thank you, Mr. Pareto. Second, Mr. Consemi. I'm sorry, Rob. Questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bass?
Yes.
Mr. Bilson?
Yes.
Mr. Consemi? Mrs. Dunn? Mr. Pareto?
Yes.
Mr. Velardo? Mr. Petrosi?
Yes. Thank you very much. 404 and 405 are the treasurer's report and budget status report received and filed. And we will move on to 4.06 certificated. We have an addendum to come in if you wish. Can I have a motion for the addendum? I got a motion by Nick, second by Rob. Questions? Call the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, addendum added.
Okay, now we will take on the report on certificated, the personnel report, including the addendum. Mr. Bass and Mr. Bilson on the second.
May I comment?
Yes, sir. Mr. Valori would like to make a
I
comment.
would. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank Ms. Holliday, Ms. Massaro, and Mr. Corella for their incredible service and the extension of their contracts. They're as great a teammate and as important to this district as anyone. So I want to say thank you to all three of you for what you do. Congratulations. Next, I would like to recognize the fact that this evening I've recommended the appointment of a new principal on this agenda item that you're going to vote momentarily on. The recommendation is to have Miss Angela Manella become the new principal of Cataract Elementary School. I can't think of a person more ready at this time to lead instruction. She had a terrific run as the assistant principal under Ms. Tompkins at Abbott School, who was a fine mentor to her, and she soaked up the knowledge and the ways of management and organization. But now she is ready beyond a doubt to stand on her own 2 feet and to lead a school. I am extremely proud of her hard work. You will not find anyone who will work as hard for an organization, a school, a child than Miss Manella. She is tireless in her approach and thorough beyond belief. She's also very fair to children and parents. Most importantly, I will tell you that she is in the top 1% echelon of her knowledge of curriculum and instruction and pedagogy in this district. She was a coach, a teacher, a theme specialist. She has it all, and she is more than ready for this assignment. I give you her recommendation without any reservation or hesitation. Her time has come, and I look forward to many years of leadership and service as our new principal, and strongly encourage you to vote in support of this personnel report. Could you raise your hand, Ange? That's her right there.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
And for those comments, she's going to want more money now. I'll tell you.
No.
Okay.
You got to vote on it?
May we call the roll, please?
Sure. Mr. Bass?
Yes.
Mr. Bilson? Yes. Mr. Kinsemi?
Damn high five.
Mrs. Dunn? Mr. Pareto?
Yes.
Mr. Velardo? Mr. Pedrosi?
Before I vote, Angela, good luck. We know you'll do a great job. And my, with a definite yes. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. 4.07, personnel report classified, items 1 through 10. Mr. Pareto, Mr. Bilson, questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bass? Yes. Mr. Bilson? Yes. Mr. Kinsemi? Yes. Mrs. Dunn? Mr. Pareto?
Yes.
Mr. Velardo? Yes. Mr. Pedrosi?
Yes, thank you very much, Judy. We will take 4.08 and 4.09 together. They are the report on committee, the report from the Committee on Special Ed, and the report from the Committee on Preschool Special Ed. Motion, please. Thank you, Bob. Second by Jimmy. Questions? Call the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. Short-term contracts, we'll take them all together. If there's any questions, please stop me. It's 4.10, and contract number 1, Niagara Falls Convention Center. Believe it or not, it's for the prom already. Number 2, Kimberly Gilrich, bilingual evaluation, Father and Son Center, and Kent Kwalendowski, Community Health Center of Niagara is number 5. Number 6, Fresh Start Ministries. Number 7, Christ Redemption Tabernacle. Number 8, Buffalo Speech and Hearing. Number 9, Kingersmus, forgive me if I mispronounced it, International Workshop. And number 10, Dan Capozero, alumni posters. Thank you, Mr. Bilson. Mr. Kinsemi, questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bass? Yes. Mr. Bilson?
Yes.
Mr. Kinsemi? Yes. Mrs. Dunn? Mr. Pareto?
Yes.
Mr. Velardo? Yes. Mr. Pedrosi?
Yes, thank you very much. Number 4.11, the Head Start reports. Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Move.
Tony, Rob, questions? Call the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Judy. 6.01 is the acceptance of the 22-23 Annual Independent Audit. Motion by Rob, second by Tony.
May I make a comment at this time?
You sure will, Mark.
For those that are just arriving or for those that are just tuning in now, what I want to tell you is that this board this evening will now vote on an audit from the independent auditing firm of Drescher and Malecki, who have been selected to review our books. And they presented this evening to our audit committee as well as to the board at 5:30. The results of that audit indicated so many positive things. I just want to hopefully help you support your vote here. One, not one material weakness or finding in the financial records of the district. Number two, a growing fund balance that has put the district fiscally in the best position it could possibly be in. And number three, the unqualified opinion that our books have been kept clean and that there is nothing untoward as far as the financing of our district. So thank you for allowing me to share that, and I'm proud to recommend this item to you.
Thank you, Mark. Motion?
We have Mr. Petrosi, we're good to go.
We're good to go? Thank you. Motion? Oh, we had the motion, sorry.
Mr.
Any other
Bass.
questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bass. Yes. Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Consemi. Mrs. Dunn. Mr. Pareto.
Yes.
Mr. Velardo. Mr. Petrosi.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. 6.02 is the approval to bind cybersecurity insurance. Mr. Bilson? Mr. Bass, questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bass. Mr. Bilson.
Yes.
Mr. Consemi. Mrs. Dunn. Mr. Pareto.
Yes.
Mr. Velardo. Mr. Petrosi.
Hey, before I vote, just a quick comment. Cybersecurity insurance is not something you just go and buy. Right. They test your systems, they look at you, they question you. It's a very in-depth process before they will even insure you. You have to be insurable. So I think that's a great compliment to Ray and his staff. Thank you for that, Ray. And my vote is a yes.
Motion carried.
Appreciate it, thank you. 6.03 to 6.07 are various contracts. I will take them all together. 6.03, Compassionate Care. 6.04, Hogel, formerly F-Bites. 6.05, Game On. 6.06, Tel Consulting. And 6.07 is Everyday Labs. Mr. Pareto, Mr. Bilson, questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bass. Mr. Bilson.
Yes.
Mr. Consemi. Mrs. Dunn. Mr. Pareto.
Yes.
Mr. Velardo. Mr. Petrosi.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. 608 and 609 I will take together. Their payments to our contractors. Number 3 is DV Brown. Payment number 3, DV Brown, and payment number 3 to CIR Electrical. I think that was Mr. Consemi, second by Mr. Pareto. Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bass.
Yes.
Mr. Bilson.
Yes.
Mr. Consemi. Mrs. Dunn. Mr. Pareto.
Yes.
Mr. Velardo. Mr. Petrosi.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. I will move into the public comment and non-agenda items. You may please state your name and address. You have 3 minutes. Please, 3 minutes. I will let you know when you have 30 seconds to sum up, and I appreciate that very much. We will now move on. My first speaker tonight is Deborah Hicks. On deck is Lawrence Blaber, I believe. Yes. Excuse me? Labor. Thank you. Labor, I'm sorry, sir. I appreciate that.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, thank you.
My name is Deborah Hicks, and I live at 3820 DeVoe Street. I am here to commend the board on their expertise in negotiating various contracts. That's very important to the school district. You have done an excellent job with the infrastructure of our schools. I must admit that our schools are one of the state-of-the-art institutions in the state. Ms. Laurie, I have great respect for you. And as you always mention, you and I don't always see eye to eye, but I do believe that we see one another. I commend you on your growing graduation rate. That's a good thing, but the question is, how are we getting there? The district has provided optional opportunities for students to graduate. While students are graduating, there is a national crisis of illiteracy in the land and in the district. We are passing students on due to the No Child Left Behind Act. If my child doesn't get his act together, I'm going to insist that he stay behind. I did that to my older son when he was in the 3rd grade. I refused for him to go on. And when he graduated with honors, with distinction designation, one of those. And he has a bachelor's degree in nursing and also associates in business. He understood the struggle and the importance of education because he watched me go through the entire process while he was a baby. My younger one, not so much, but he will learn. I have expressed the fact that when primary students are packed in a classroom like sardines, it's almost impossible for teachers to reach all students to develop that literacy foundation. I feel bad for the students and the teachers who can only do so much, plus the parents who aren't aware of the detriment of the situation. I'm not going to rest until we do better. I don't care how we get there as long as we get there. I have been talking with educated folks who have experience going to college and having to pay money for remedial courses, which I had to do myself. Maybe you can provide some of those courses while students are still in school, so they don't have to go to college and go through that. I'm currently working with a 5th grade student who is reading and writing at a kindergarten level.
30 seconds.
We all know what happens to children who make it through school or they may drop out. This is the perfect remedy for drugs, low self-worth, violence, and prison. Children also experience low self-worth when they don't have melanated teachers to identify with at a young age. I know you know this. I know some of you may wonder why I chose to retire and didn't stay working myself. But I'm old, and I've worked myself to the bone, literally. And I always wanted to say this. Eyes are free now. But I would never come to you with complaining without solutions. So help me to help you to ensure our primary children have the proper literacy foundation. I would like to meet with you further to discuss this with you, and I want to congratulate you on your ceremony, your award at NOAA. You are a game changer. You do make a difference, and I do appreciate you, all of you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Blabber, please. Thank you, sir. Barbara Rogers on deck.
All right. I'm going to actually have to make a second statement based on what I heard regarding the active shooter drills.
Sir, if you may, would you name and address for the record, please?
Lawrence Blaber Jr., 625 38th Street.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. My main reason for being here is I have a further question to ask, but before I get to that, which will be at a later meeting, I need to collect some data, and I'm having trouble finding it. Recently, we were provided with our daughter's Ames Web score. She's in 2nd grade over at Cataract, but there's nothing really to compare it to. Like, I'm curious to know the particulars and where I would find regarding the Ames score for each school's performance by grade, school district, in comparison to Niagara County, in comparison to Western New York, in comparison to the state. And I think I've been able to find like 2001, 2002, but I'm trying to see 10 years back because I'm also trying to see trajectory and if it's actually going up, because as Mark, if we've spoken to Lori before, when I bring something to people, I don't just bring a problem, I bring ideas for a solution. So I can't do that without that information. So if I could find out where I can access that information from, that would be wonderful. Okay? And the only other thing is while sitting here, I heard about the active shooter drill, but I didn't hear anything about counseling for the children in it. Whether people realize it or not, the children in, for instance, Chicago have been tested to have PTSD levels of former military soldiers. Niagara Falls is in Chicago, but we do have one of the highest crime rates for any city our size in the state and in the country. We don't know the kind of situation these high school kids are going with in terms of food scarcity, home instability, and other things. So please keep that in mind after the drill, because if it's as realistic as we quote-unquote hope it will be to prepare all the parties, we don't know what the kids will walk away from, even if it's just a drill. Thank you for your time.
Mark, if I remember correctly, the students will be,
Yeah, I was going to address this at the end.
yeah, and.
May I speak now?
No, absolutely, sure.
It's because we usually don't have repartee, but, and I'll, at the end, I'll.
I'm not sure if I should stand.
You can
Yeah.
stand,
Yeah,
smile,
sure.
stand.
No, I'm not.
You can, yeah.
Usually when I've done these kinds of things, when you ask a question, you stand where you were. You don't move, so
No.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah, we don't, this is not normal. And I will say this, I'll respond to all of the speakers at the end.
Okay.
But to the point I think Mr. Petrosi would like me to address, tomorrow's drill will be with just a very small handful of students present.
Okay.
The school body will be dismissed early. The drill will start at noon, and there's probably a dozen students who have parent approval who will help us participate. However, those students need to be spoken to after the drill, and your point's well taken. In addition to that, we have to be, and that was the reason why we didn't do it with the school loaded, just for what you're saying.
Okay.
It's as realistic as it can be without 2,000 students in the building.
Yeah.
There will be 12, it may be 8, I'm not sure of the number Mr. Del Porto had scheduled, but we did get 8 to 12 volunteer kids.
Yes.
I think they're in the drama program, to be honest, that are going to do that. But I think you make a good point, and we'll make sure that we explain to them and offer them any support and their parents while it's happening. But in the event that it was real, we would certainly have to do a lot, because there have been many studies on the effects of those drills on kids, and we wouldn't want to have anybody suffer any further.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I will answer a bit of your Ameswell question at the end.
Okay.
Thank you. Angela Manila, I don't think you expected your first assignment in 7 minutes. You got it? Thank you. Barbara Rogers, please.
Good evening. I'm here to educate, not complain. Mr. Lohr, you know what this is about. Last night I went to the city council meeting and I said there are 2 properties abutting G.J. Mann. They are a safety hazard to the students and the staff of the school. According to the map, they are zoned for residential detached single-family dwellings. So why is the owner allowed to run his construction and remodeling business? If the zoning has changed, why hasn't the neighborhood had an impact study done? Last spring, a tree from his yard fell into my yard. He said he'd clean it up when it was dry enough to get his equipment back there. His one mistake, he gave me his business card, which incidentally has an area code from Orlando. Then he had the audacity to tell me if I needed any remodeling or repair done to give him a call. I received a phone message from the mayor's office stating code enforcement had been out and found no violations. So I called them myself. After having my call rerouted so many times, I was finally transferred to a young man who said, I have nothing to do with code enforcement. Then why are you answering the phone? I was again transferred and was told there were no violations because all the vehicles were registered. Call me uninformed, but shouldn't there be a license plate on a vehicle if it's registered? I took pictures too. So, it is a hazard to the school community and a huge safety issue. The solution I got was the kids shouldn't be there. No, the junkyard construction site shouldn't be there. I reiterated the danger and safety issues and was told, lady, what the hell is your problem? So I asked for his name and he hesitated and he finally answered, Bob. Did I believe him? Nope. I shouldn't have to put up a privacy fence. Why should my property value dip and the neighborhood's dip because of the junkyard? The properties in question are at least 2 to 3 feet higher than the surrounding properties and well above the 1-foot limit from the slope of the pavement. I find it to be no coincidence that after my call, some of the illegal unregistered vehicles, like the backhoe, were moved. So I guess code enforcement tipped him off. That's the only logical explanation. So there is an illegal junkyard and construction site breaking the law, being encouraged and ignored by code enforcement, which is also breaking the law, since we all know that he was tipped off by the very agency sworn to uphold the zoning codes.
30
Is there a slumlord, or does he actually live there? I'll be fast. The house I live in has been in my family since 1955. My sister was born in 56. She turned 67 in June. This is a single-family neighborhoods that have all been there before GJ Mann was built. I informed them that I will kick this up the chain of command until the eyesore is gone. These neighborhoods, I have never seen such a blatant disregard for the rule of law and the zoning codes. I'll kick it up the chain of command until the eyesore and safety hazard is gone. I will contact the local trade unions, the local teachers union, the state teachers union, the local news media. I'll pass petitions, picket, involve the parents, as well as contacting the office of Letitia James. So it's a fight you want, City Council. I am ready to give you a fight the likes you have never seen before. Code enforcement threw down the gauntlet. I picked it up. How the council responds will be how I proceed. This morning, I received this email. The inspector inspected that property yesterday. A violation letter was sent to the owner of the property, citing him for the trash, debris, vehicles, fence, etc. This department gave the owner of the property until November 20th to correct the violations. And I guarantee you, at 12:01 on November 21st, if it's not fixed, I'll be putting in another complaint. That's my elementary school alma mater, and I'm not letting this happen. I wanted all of you to know that I'm going to fix this as much as I can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. That takes care of our public speaking section of the meeting. I will move on to superintendents and board members' report. I will start with you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Mr. Petrosi. Thank you to all those who have attended here. Ms. Manella, congratulations once again. I want to say, as we usually do, Ms. Hicks, we disagree. I'll start with the disagreement. You're not old. I disagree, you're not old. That's the first thing I'll say. Thank you very much for your kind words, and I will be contacting you tomorrow to meet individually next week. I did want to say that I understand your passion. I appreciate your passion and your commitment. And I did want to say thank you to you publicly, because for 2 solid years, Mrs. Hicks has participated in every one of our forums with North Tonawanda and has been not just a participant, has been a guiding force in keeping that going. So I will say thank you for your participation in that. We appreciate it. Your kind words mean a lot, and I will be calling you to set up a meeting next week. So you're welcome. Mr. Blaber, I want to say to you, and she's not here this evening, but I'm so impressed through the conversation that I had with you on 2 separate occasions, because you're right, you always come with solutions. And you and the woman who's not here, his wife, is extremely knowledgeable on phonics and literacy and advocacy in a professional way, and I'm just waiting for your wife to get her teaching certification, Mr. Blaber. If you would tell her that we have a human resource administrator here who could use some help hiring a second language teacher. You know what I'm talking about. Nonetheless, you do your homework, sir. You do your homework, and she does too. you now have the benefit of not one, but two outstanding educational instructional leaders. Ms. Manella thinks she just got a promotion to be a principal. She's going to be meeting with you very soon to see how I can tell her things now. She's going to be meeting with you very soon because she understands Ames Web and data as well as anybody, if not better than any principal we have in the district. And Mr. Corella will be reaching out to you again. I know you have a relationship with Mr. Corella to provide you the information. So those two individuals will be reaching out to you. Let's give Ms. Manila maybe 30, 35 minutes to get her feet wet at Cataract, and then she'll call you. Let's give her about 35 minutes to get just, okay, 40 minutes, Angela. And I'm telling you, she's sharp, and you're going to see it when it comes to the topics that you're very well versed in and very interested in. But she has great experience. Not that the previous principal didn't, but she's top notch as Rick. And I know you've met Mr. Corella, and I believe he helped you immensely in terms of the understanding of where we are with phonics and our Wilson language program, et cetera. So I know I will leave this in Mr. Corella's hands to arrange the meeting. Ms. Rogers, I think you need to get a little more passionate when you speak. I think you're just a little understated, and you need to become a little more passionate about what you're talking about. I do want to say, and Ms. Hicks referred to this, one of the things that we take great pride in is the condition of our schools. Curbside appeal is extremely important to us. Earl knows that. He's harping on it all the time. And what I can say is your fight is a good one. It's a little bit beyond the scope of influence of our district, but I will continue to ask Mr. Baldessari, the principal, to remind students about the safety hazard that it could be in and around that area, and to stay clear. Kids are out there just having a good time, as they should be, and they should be able to observe natural landscape and nice houses in a neighborhood. So I appreciate your passion for what you're talking about. Thank you to our three speakers. I do want to take a moment to add a couple of other concluding comments. Tuesday, November 7th is a full-day superintendent's conference day for our students. We won't meet until that time again. There's no children in session. Staff is in session. We will have security around our voting booths just as a precaution. I also want to remind those in the audience and those listening at home that there is a proposition on the ballot next month. The proposition is for small city school districts. The proposition is to raise the debt ceiling from 5% to 10%. I would never tell anybody how to vote on that, but I would tell you that if it does pass, it will not impact your taxes, and it will put a small city school district, of which Niagara Falls is one of 57, on the same par with rural and suburban school districts. So please do your homework on that resolution. Please exercise your right to vote and look for that proposition. It will put Niagara Falls, a small city school district, in the same footing as the urban and rural districts, and that's the way it should be, and I'm not sure why it never was that debt ceiling amount. I want to encourage everybody to go to Niagara Falls High School either on November 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. The Proscenium Players, the drama club, is putting on Anne Frank. That is a great show by our kids. Tomorrow, members of the board, before the active shooter drill, I'm going to the home of a former and now passed away art teacher named Larry Bell. Mr. Bell's estate would like to donate some artwork to the district. I'm going to go. I'm going to ask Mr. Rob Lynch, who has a much better eye for art than I do, to join or to show up and make some decisions for the district. But I do want you to know there is an estate that is of Mr. Bell, who is offering to donate artwork to the district. I would like to tell you that last evening at Calfus Elementary School, 115 English as new language families got together for a presentation and had food, cultural food. It was wonderful. Kids got to play in the gym. Parents received instruction, and it was a great mixing of the diversity of our English as new language students. We were proud to be part of that. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning, again, before the drill, the CEC closet will be christened and opened. You know, we've got a family support worker who has gone around and created clothes closets in our schools for our McKinney-Vento students, and it's housed at the CEC. So she's going to officially have her opening tomorrow. I want to mention a teacher by name here. This is quite amazing. The teacher's name is Mr. Randy Willett. I'm sorry? He's an associate. I'm sorry. Mr. Randy Willett is an associate. Mr. Willett has worked for us for a short time. Yesterday at Gaskill Prep School, a student required the Heimlich. Mr. Willett, as an associate, successfully stepped up and performed the Heimlich. I want to thank Mr. Willett and hopefully invite him to a board meeting. That speaks to his courage, knowledge, calmness, and training. But Mr. Willett, thank you and congratulations. We hope to see you soon. Yes. Just two other I think, very exciting occurrences. I know Judy's awfully excited about this one. Hyde Park School next Wednesday, the 25th, is going to receive a visit by two former football players. Stevie Johnson was a former receiver, and a gentleman named Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan is a quarterback. Yeah, is a quarterback for the Bills. He played for a lot of teams. He scored very high on the football test, and he's got an IQ of 148. Harvard graduate. He's coming to Hyde Park School, and they are going to team with Feedmore, Amazon, Wegmans, and the Buffalo Bills to bring them there. Stevie Johnson wrote a book, a child's book, about Ryan Fitzpatrick. Every one of the 500 students at Hyde Park will receive a copy of the book. Every one of the students at Hyde Park School will receive a bag of fruits and vegetables, courtesy of Wegmans, and the assembly will be taped by Amazon Prime. And during halftime of the Buffalo Bills game on the 26th, they will show Hyde Park School and the assembly. So I think that's a nice opportunity for Hyde Park School, and the kids will all go home with a book and a bag of fruits and vegetables, courtesy of Wegmans and Feedmore, and I'm really pleased to announce that. Finally, two final things. Congratulations to the district, in particular, again, Ms. Massaro, who worked with Marie Battaglia, who is our grant writer, and Dr. Chandra Foote. We were notified on Tuesday that we are the recipient of a $740,000 residency grant, which takes teachers takes individuals who are not in the teaching profession but have a bachelor's degree, and will provide them instruction to get their teaching certificate, all while subbing as a building-based sub, all while paying a large stipend of their tuition. Department of Labor grant, I think we're the first school district to get it. Those 24 individuals will then become building-based subs for a whole year. And as I see principals nodding their heads, because they will have the services of that teacher to be a substitute, and it will prepare those individuals to become our teachers. They have to commit to work with us or work for us in some capacity, and it will help build our teaching capacity. And they'll also get another college degree, which is subsidized by the grant. It's a different grant. It's the Department of Labor grant, other than a state education grant. We have to get some assurances before I can talk any more about that, but we will have a big press conference about that soon, because it's really exciting and it's really cutting edge, I think, in terms of teacher preparation. Finally, I know that Ms. Coney deserved, Ms. Manella deserved all of her accolades tonight, but there's someone else in the audience. who, we have this award every September. We have guardian angels in the schools. These are people who go to the schools to check on things. And unbeknownst to me, because it's a private vote of over a couple hundred people, he's the guardian angel of the year. Frank Coney, guardian angel of the year. Congratulations. So your family is having a good month. That's all I can tell you. Frank, did you want to give a lengthy speech or anything? No. My sister is very worthy. Yeah. And the reason why I got an education. Really? Oh, that's nice. Well, I know your family's. No, stop thinking like that. I know your family's here. I know your family's here, and your children are here, and that you should be really proud of your mom. She did a great job. And to the staff that are here, principals and others that are here for her, congratulations. That's all I have, Mr. Petrosi. Members of the board, thank you very much for your support of our resolutions and our personnel. And congratulations on a great audit. Good night. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I will move through our board members. I'm going to start with Mr. Bass.
Congratulations to Ms. Manella on your new position. I apologize that I missed your commentary. We'll talk afterward. Thank you for your patience while I was being an uncle. The 6-year-old was fine, it's that little one. She's a perpetual line stepper, but other than that, I did spend some time with the PTE students earlier this week. I was in there speaking as a firefighter, because there were some that are interested in going into that. And that kind of, once they realized who and what I was, that kind of transitioned into some commentary about the program. It was interesting to get some feedback from the students. Yeah, and I think they do appreciate the internship aspect. They really appreciate that. Some are a little impatient, because they're still trying to set that up. So they're really looking forward to getting to it. But all in all, it was a good discussion. And I mean, initially I had a student tell me she wasn't sure why I was there because it was pointless. And by the end of that session, I had that group fully engaged. So there are challenges there, but you can once you find that commonality, you can break that ground. And I think what we're doing and what we're trying to do is money well spent. But that's discussion for another day. But I do want to commend the staff that are there. They are working hard. So, and that's that. And thank you to everyone else.
Thanks, Earl. Jim?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate Angela. I'm sure she'll do a great job. I'm sorry that she lost a great VP, but I'm sure Abbott will do well under your direction. It's nice to be back at the tables. It's been a long time. For all of you who were kind enough to send me prayers and thank yous and cards, I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. That gave me the courage to keep fighting. And for whatever it means, I thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Jim. Welcome back. Clara?
I have a lot to say, maybe 15 minutes, just kidding. But
3 minutes.
Congratulations to Angela. I don't know you, but from what I'm hearing, my perspective is that you will do a very good job. Congratulations. I want to make one comment from the New York State School Association Board Conference. There was one resolution on there, although I didn't say anything, I don't know if I was allowed to say anything, that we disagreed with, we said no to, and several other school boards disagreed to. And that was, somebody made the resolution that board members receive 6 hours of professional training every year that they're on the board. It failed, and a couple of the boards, as I felt, that would discourage people from running on the board. We do have that one training, you know, they give us a year to complete it, and I think that's enough. So that failed, but it was mentioned that it might come around again. So I just want to make mention of that to our board in case it come back again. That's it.
Thanks, Clara. Nick?
I just want to congratulate the 3 new administrators that we have, and I know everyone will do a great job, and it's great that you're here. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Rob?
Yeah, congratulations to all the personnel, you know, that we went through in the reports, and Ms. Manella, gigantic celebration for you today, so congratulations and well-deserved. Really happy with the audit. I mean, we should definitely continue to shout that out. I think 2 major things in today's meeting, you know, we should continue to shine a light on. Number one, the audit results. I'm not going to walk through everything that Drescher, Malecki, and Mark summarized, but we should be very proud of those results. And number two, the presentation that Chief Del Porto provided to us about the active shooter event tomorrow, but also about what he's hearing around the country and how far ahead we are when it comes to keeping our kids safe, I think is something that we should continue to celebrate. And I know we as a board will continue to keep the kids safe. I know Ms. Dunn, Mr. Bass, Chief, myself, all have children currently in the district, so I know I go to bed easily at nighttime knowing the kids are safe. So I think that's a great thing. And great job, Earl, with projects and your team, and wonderful district we have, huh? Great stuff. Toaster, there, you know, toaster.
We're gonna buy a toaster.
Automatic
We've
toaster.
come a long way.
We gotta buy the guy a toaster. It'd probably get lost in his office. Russ, do you have a toaster in that office? There's everything else in there, a shirt from 1947,
Well, that's the suit jacket.
a suit jacket from 1951. It's amazing in that office.
I thought James Brown once wore that suit.
Wow, I don't know. We
Sorry,
found
some inside. This is what a great group we have. Just some great inside toaster jokes.
I found 3 kids from Abbott hiding in Russ's office, Lynn. I brought them back. Lynn was marking the maps. I found the 3 kids. They were in Russ's office under some shirts.
Yeah, Mark, those kids are 35 years old now.
Yeah, the kids are 35 now.
That's where they hear Jimmy Hoffa.
They've been lost for 30 years.
He might be in there.
Oh,
Then you ask him, he knows exactly where everything is. It's scary. It's scary. It's a scary weekly meeting that I have to attend, everybody. The staff wonders if I'm gonna come back. Where were you for 3 hours? Sorry, Russ.
Paul, are you still on, Paul?
Crickets chirping. No, I guess not.
I guess not. He's looking, maybe you can. Mike, how about yourself, Mike?
Yeah, I'm here. I just wanted to say congratulations to Angela. Good choice and well-deserved. And then I wanted to say welcome back to Jimmy. Jimmy, I'm sure Russ has a list of committee meetings with your name all over it. So we missed you and welcome back.
I'll try one more time for Paul. Tony?
No comment tonight, Russ. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. You're up, Tony.
Okay, I'll try to make this brief. To our colleague, Mr. Consemi, welcome back. God bless you. I know you had a long road and a difficult one, but we're glad to have you back. You know, your professionalism, your insight is good. It's good to have you back. Congratulations, Angela. I knew a little bit back, right? I mean, I said, you know, this one might be, because when my sister, who has worked with you and stuff like that, you've coached her and things like that, and the detail that she would tell me, and then the detail during our conversations, yeah, you're going to be awesome. I'm very, very happy for you. and all our individuals that are stepping up in our district. And we're very, very proud of you for taking the jobs, taking the assignments, and I know you're going to be good at it. You know, you're homegrown, and there you are. That's how you grow your own. You know what I mean? Financial team for the excellent audit. It's it's awesome to be part of that. I've been on this board for 10.5 years, and every year it seems to be getting better. But it starts with a great team, and Becky has a great team, and she's runs a tight ship over there. And let's see, I think I got everything. But happy Halloween.
Thanks, Tony. I will be very brief. Jim, welcome back. Good to see you. Good luck. Heal fast. Speakers, thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate your words of wisdom. Angela Manella, good luck. You have big shoes to fill. I think we're remiss but not saying Stan, good luck. Stan Walton, good luck in your next venture. And thank you for having that school in the shape it's in. Thank you for your hard work. And Angela, the best of luck to you. Becky and your staff, thank you. I know you worked hard. And I'm sorry you have to live up those toaster jokes probably for the rest of your career. Saying that, pardon me? Oh, I'm sure they will.
Nice.
I'm sure they will forever. Saying that, I think it's time to say goodnight. We need a motion for adjournment tonight. Mr. Velardo and Mr. Bass, all in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming.